Hey, Akemi here. Today I'm going to talk about this stencil I've just done, the dragon and the koi. It's a fairly basic stencil by stencil artist standards. As you can see, with my work I don't use digital processors, which is a self-imposed rule which arguably is an impediment to what I do. But that said, I'm not striving for photorealism, I'm striving for a more illustrative style. One of the wonderful things about stencil art is I think it's quite young in its techniques and approaches. I think there's a lot more to be done yet. And this has been the springboard for where I've started off. So with the stencil I've added, tone. So spraying some transparent black on one side and some transparent white on the other side of the dragon coils. I managed to get a little bit of reflectivity and maybe a little bit more depth and light source to the image, and you combine that with the drop shadow, to some extent, in this case it's a very limited extent, makes it float off the ground a little bit. A lot of what I do is art that comes out of inside me somewhere. I don't always understand what it's about, but in this case I'm fairly clear about what this stencil's about. And as I spoke about in the last video, the koi for me is about striving, about growing, and hopefully a koi can transcend and become a dragon. Not saying I've become a dragon, far from it. But with this I'm trying to talk about the idea of embracing all that you are, and all of your past too. There's been things that have happened in my past that I once looked at as bad, and they weren't necessarily bad. There were things that were absolutely objectively bad, no arguments there. And it'd be trite to say that I'm thankful for all those bad things that happened. Bad things are bad things, and that doesn't change the pain you feel or went through at the time or still carry with you today. That's the nature of life. We accumulate scars until those scars finally kill us. But we can transcend that, I think, by sharing what we've got. And I'm not talking in terms of physical things, although that's very useful in today's world of haves and have-nots. There's so many people who have so little, and so many people or so few people who have so much. Those few could share it a little bit more gracefully and generously. The only thing I really have is things I've learnt, and a lot of those things I've learnt only apply to myself. And there's a funny thing with learning too. I'm sure everyone's experienced this, where you have an understanding of a word, but then because of some series of events or singular event, you have a totally different understanding of that word. One of those words for me in recent history has been the word resolve. You don't try to do something, you do it. You don't try to help someone, you help them. It's an emphatic thing, it's an absolute thing. Resolve will give you that. It makes life easier in a lot of ways, and it can make life harder in a lot of ways too. The trick is to learn from these things. And so the koi in this image is embraced by the dragon. The things that has transcended the koi still retains all the elements of the koi within itself, and should be thankful for that. Well, not necessarily thankful, but acknowledge that. Thankful is a loaded word. It carries a lot of connotations with it that you can't necessarily apply to certain experiences in your life. Some experiences are objectively horrific, and nothing would change them. There are parts of my memory and my experience that I hold in a memory palace. It's a mental construct employed by psychologists sometimes to manage trauma. And there are rooms in that memory palace that I cannot safely go. But that doesn't mean that they haven't led me to where I am today. I would have liked to have learned the lessons they taught me in a much gentler way. Both the highs and the lows. It's no secret I have bipolar type 1. Those highs and lows can be very educational, but there's this old saying, experience is the great teacher, but the prices are often quite high. And experience is the great teacher, but you've got to be able to take that experience on and analyse it and dismantle it and use it for what you will. I think that's the real trick of it. the lead to gold process, the alchemic process of experience, isn't being grateful and thankful for the experience. It's taking the lessons that experience applied and making them something positive in your life. The bad thing is still a bad thing, but you can take a powerful and strong lesson from it to shape your life in better ways. And I think that's what I'm getting at with embracing the koi with the dragon here. I think it's a thing of saying my past is my past. All that it contains has led me to where I am today. And where I am today is in a pretty good place. I've got a studio at Blender, which is a rad studio to be part of. I've got good friends around me. And I've got friends who reward my constant attempts to evolve by giving me direction, telling me things about myself that, I can change. And change is possible. It's difficult. You've got to work hard, but change is possible. And oftentimes that change needs a bit of an assist from people. People around you, people you choose to have in your life, people who come along. I think I'd like to end the video there. I hope the next video to provide you with something fairly interesting and exciting in terms of stencil art. Something very different to what I've done before, but something I've been striving for a long time. Thanks for listening to me, folks. Really appreciate it. Usual bullshit. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Appreciate you listening though. Thanks.